What had Uki been doing there? If I could find out, I might be able to figure out what was going on. That certainly spurred me to action. I ran as fast as I could after her as she fled. She was just a little kid. At this distance, I'd be able to catch up to her. Or so you'd think. Or so I thought. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she ran away when we were in the school building too. But no matter how fast I ran, I didn't seem to get any closer. What was this weird sensation? It wasn't that my sense of distance was screwed up. It was like I was chasing something that wasn't there. I was moving my legs as fast as I could, but it was like a nightmare, or like in a nightmare, where you're running from someone who's chasing you and you don't seem to be moving at all. This time, my desperation pushed me beyond my limits. My lungs felt like they were on fire. Hey, mine did too when I went running in this like 100+ degree Fahrenheit weather. My sides stung from lack of exercise. My legs were screaming that they were about to give up. But I forced myself to keep going. Uki turned around and saw me, and then slipped through the turnstile to escape. I followed her through. I'd been in such a hurry that I hadn't put my card up to the machine, but it had let me through anyway. It had done the same for Uki too. She hadn't gotten out her card either. I say while standing there. I ran up the stairs to the platforms. And I was just in time to see a train slide into the Harajuku platform and watch Uki get on.
Mate, Uki! Mate!
Huh? It disappeared? Uki had just gotten onto a green car from the Yamanote line, and it was gone. It hadn't left the station. I would at least be able to see it then. The whole platform was quiet, as if the train had never existed in the first place. No, not only that. The whole station was strangely dark. I couldn't see a single person. A cold chill ran up my back. What was going on? I looked around again and again, but the place was as quiet as the surface of the moon. Excuse me, I cannot speak. Complete silence. Complete emptiness. There were no customers and no employees either. The information boards were all black and showed nothing at all.
Huh?
That was impossible. Shibuya was supposed to be the 5th busiest station in Japan.
Uki wa?
I forced my tired legs to move and looked around for Uki. But the only sound on the platform was my footsteps, and there was no sign of Uki or anyone else. It felt like someone had torn open my skull and started fiddling with my hippocampus. Maybe that is what's happening. In some sort of weird way. I went down the platform and through the turnstile, and everything was back to normal. What was going on? And then I heard the sound of the train coming in above me, as if it was mocking me. I ran back up the stairs, feeling the people around me staring at me in bewilderment. But when I got up there, the platform was as empty as before. I had no idea what was going on anymore. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. That is kind of strange. I staggered down the stairs, feeling defeated. Once I got back down, the world was normal again. I didn't feel surprised anymore. I just felt empty. I put my back to the wall and let myself slide to the ground. Maybe I had gone crazy. Now that laugh kind of helps. I looked up and saw a commercial for a music artist playing on the big TV above Scramble Crossing. Hey, we know who that is. Well, I don't, but it was playing a song by Phantasm that just got released a few days ago. Suddenly, there was static on the screen. Of course there was. That voice. Well, that's freaky. Serika? And Kirisu too? Why was I hearing their voices from the TV?
気をつけて。あなたは今、妄想の渋谷に囚われているの。
妄想の渋谷？
そこから脱出するには。
Damn. And we were just about to get to the best part of the song. I heard a noise and their voices vanished, only to be replaced by the Phantasm music video once more. Was that a hallucination? No. It was another message like the ones I'd heard before. Thank you, finally, we're getting somewhere.
渋谷。
The lights in the intersection changed and the people started to move. Beyond them, standing in a gap between the crowds, I saw a girl. It was Yamazoe Uki holding her D-sword. Suddenly, it felt like a dam burst in my mind. Gigalomaniacs. Yamazoe Uki's power is a gigalomaniac.
他人の思考や願望をリアルブートする能力。
That's right. This whole thing started when I'd had that nightmare about being stabbed by Uki's D-sword. Then this must be... I started to move. The light was about to turn red, but I ran across the intersection anyway. I forced my way to the other side of the street as the car horns blared at me. I think they did more than blare.
と捕まえた。
When I grabbed her by her tiny shoulders, Uki jerked and looked at me in shock.
タクルさん。
The D-sword she'd been holding had vanished. But that didn't matter anymore.
悪いが、もうこれ以上はごまかされないぞ。いい加減本当のことを話してもらおうか。
Pretending to be scared wasn't going to work either. I think she actually is scared.
ウキ、お前さっきディソードを持ってたよな。最近僕の周りで起こっているおかしな出来事。あれはお前のせいなのか？
Uki shook her head frantically to the left and right, as if she was trying to wriggle out of my grasp.
ダメだ。本当のことを話すまでは逃がさないからな。
She looked around for help. I realized that the people around me were staring at me suspiciously. Stares, stares, stares. They formed a circle looking at me with cold and considerate eyes.
おいそこ！
Two black shadows forced their way through the crowd.
あんただあんた。そこで何をしているんだ？
いや、
And this was bad.
どうした？何かやましいことでもあるのか？
違います。彼女は知り合いで。
犯罪を犯す奴は大体そう言うんだ。
犯罪？違う、僕は。
話は書で聞かせてもらおう。さあ、こっちへ来なさい。
Strong arms grabbed me and held me tight. Uki slipped out of my grasp. She slid through the crowd and disappeared from my sight. It's like she didn't even fucking know us, man. If I got arrested here, not only would my life be over, I might lose a critical clue.
あんた、学生か？
これ、壁標の制服ですね。
ああ、なるほど。道理で。あ、おい！
I forced my way free and ran into the crowd.
待て！
I'm very surprised we were able to do that. Does anyone ever actually stop when they hear that? Yeah, it's actually a good question. Wait a minute. If I was gonna stop, I wouldn't have run in the first place. I practically body slammed my way through the crowd, running as fast as I could while the people around me cursed at me. How much time had I spent running today? I felt like I'd been chasing a phantom of Uki forever. Bro, we're gonna walk in and nobody's gonna fucking know who we are. I've seen this before. I know what's going on. Come on. At some point, my legs started to move on their own. I couldn't see the police anymore, but I was still terrified they might appear at any second. The only place I could go was Alba Dorm.
Takuru?
Okay, never mind. Kirisu's eyes went wide as she saw me run in out of breath. My lungs were begging me for oxygen. My heart was about to burn out like an engine low on gas.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てて何かあったの？
なのか。
Yeah, I thought I'd be able to speak. Excuse me, I can't speak. But my throat had dried up too much for me to get the words out.
とにかく水でも飲んで落ち着きなさい。
Usually I'd ask for a mountain view instead, but now wasn't the time. I took a gulp of water from the glass Kirisu brought me, and finally calmed down.
それで何があったの？
あれは本当なのか。
落ち着いて話しなさい。それじゃあ一体何のことを言ってるのかわからないわ。
だから最近何度も僕にメッセージを送ってきてるだろ。あれは本当なのか。
メッセージ？
そうだよ。ここは渋谷じゃないって何度も。
I swallowed the rest of my sentence when I saw the look on her face. She was blinking at me in confusion with her head tilted to one side. It was clear that she had no idea what I was talking about.
タクル？
やっぱり。
Let's say, just hypothetically, that this wasn't the real Shibuya. No, hypothetically, we don't need to say hypothetically, this really isn't Shibuya. If that was the case, that meant the girl in front of me wasn't the real Kirisu. This meant I was probably wasting my time asking her anything. Thank you, we're finally getting somewhere. There was no point.
ウキは
I decided to do something else.
ウキちゃんがどうかしたの？
Yeah, she fucking abandoned
ウキは
us.
部屋にいるのか。
いえ、まだ帰ってないけど。でもそうね。もう少ししたら戻るんじゃないかしら。
Uki wouldn't know that I was here. And there was no other place for her to go as far as I knew. So all I had to do was wait.
ねえ、どうしたのタクル？何があったの？
いや、別に。
別にって、とてもそんな風には思えないわ。ウキちゃんと何かあったの？
Kirisu was acting like she was really worried.
大丈夫だって。クルスが心配するようなことは何もない。ただ、ちょっと聞きたいことがあっただけだよ。
本当にそれだけ？
本当だって。だからここで待たせてもらっていいか。
変なことじゃないわよね。ウキちゃんに聞きたいことって、あの子もいろいろ苦労してるんだから優しくしてあげなきゃダメよ。
Mm-hmm.
分かってるって。
だったらいいけど。
Kirisu headed for the kitchen. She still looked worried. She was probably getting ready for dinner. For my part, I decided to just sit there and wait like I said I would. Come to think of it, Naozaki Yume. What had happened to her? I thought I saw her at Cafe Lax, but then she quickly disappeared. Or maybe she'd just been another hallucination. What color are Uki's eyes? I'm just kinda curious. I took out my phone and looked at the call history. I tapped the screen to call her number. If she answered, there was a lot I wanted to ask her. If she didn't... Yeah, if she didn't, then what? As I listened to the phone ring, a strange sort of urgency started to well up within me. There was no sign of her picking up. It rang 20 or 30 times without even going to an answering machine. Yeah, that doesn't happen normally. I was getting nowhere, so I decided to end the call and try again. I didn't know what her plan was, but I would make this a battle of wills. I'd keep calling again and again until she picked up. I'd call again and again and again. And then, we'll call even more. How many times had I called her? It was more times than I could count on both hands. I knew that much. But not once had she answered the phone. Maybe the monotonous sound of the ringing was getting to me because I was starting to get sleepy. It had been a stressful day, both physically and mentally. My mind, body, and spirit were all worn out, and the exhaustion was building up. My eyelids started to feel heavy. It became harder and harder to stay awake. No, don't fall asleep.
Takuru?
Kirisu had come back from the kitchen at some point and was standing next to me.
クルス。
もうダメよ。そんなところで寝ちゃ。風邪ひいちゃうじゃない。
違う。僕は。
はいはい。わかったからこっちにいらっしゃい。お布団敷いてあげるから。
No.
ここで寝ちゃうより少しの時間でもちゃんと布団で寝た方が疲れも取れるから。ね。
Kirisu grabbed me by the hand and stood me up.
もうしょうがないんだから。
And then she grabbed the kitchen knife. I didn't get the sense from Kirisu's voice that she was giving me an order. Her voice was filled with kindness and compassion. I was too tired and her voice was too soft for me to resist. I let her take me where she wanted me to go. I was so sleepy I wasn't even sure what I was feeling.
はい。こっちよ。
Why do I get the feeling that she's leading us to death? Kirisu brought me into what looked like a girl's room. Everything was colored pink and made for the taste of a little girl. This was... Oh, that's right, this was Uki's room. Excuse me? Oh, wait, that's the plant. That's right. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm too stupid for that. This was definitely Uki's room. But why here?
お布団今朝干したばかりだからふかふかのはずよ。
But still, it wasn't right to sleep in a girl's room when she wasn't there. Wait, that wasn't the real question. Then what was the real question? I didn't know. I didn't have the mental capacity left to think about it. Or perhaps it was Hypnos, the god of sleep, tempting me. Well, it didn't matter. I just wanted to sleep. The desire to sleep was controlling my body and mind. As I fell into Uki's bed, I was surrounded by the gentle, mild scent of a young girl. It was a clean, sweet scent, like freshly washed sheets, excuse me. The scent made me even more tired, and my eyelids slowly began... Oh, I don't like how the music stopped. Why did the music stop? Oh no. Why are we hearing the ringing? My phone was making a noise in my pocket. You could be calling at this hour. Wait, why is that our ringtone? I'm sleepy. Call me some other time. But the phone didn't stop ringing no matter how long I waited.
しつこいな。人がせっかく寝ようとしてるっていうのに。誰だよ一体。
They just wouldn't stop, and even though my mind was still hazy, it felt like I had no choice but to pick up the phone. The name on the display was...
青崎夢。
Uh-oh. That's right. So she'd seen my call and finally decided to call back. That's right, I had to find out who she is.
では、でなき。
I tried to move my fingers to tap the call icon, but my body felt far heavier than it should. I just needed to move my finger a little, but it was like my body belonged to someone else.
早く。でなきゃ。
What is going on with him, dude? Or she might just hang up. But it was like my body was paralyzed and it wouldn't move. Ah, sleep paralysis. I had that happen to me one time. That shit's kind of freaky. It was like I was in a dream. A dream? But then who was dreaming? No, that didn't matter. I needed to pick up the phone. If I didn't hurry, she'd hang up. Hurry, hurry. I put all my strength into my fingertip and finally was able to answer the call.
もし
My voice was so exhausted that it was hard to believe that those were my own words. Even as I talked, it felt like I was going to be dragged into the forest of sleep.
もしもし
I was too out of it to even tell whose voice it was on the phone.
聞こえてるタク
僕を呼ぶのは誰だ
Gee, I wonder who this is.
聞いてタクルこのままだとあなたはずっと眠ったままになってしまうわそうなる前に早く
クルス
Hurry and what?
お願いだから
Just tell us what we have to do. Stop being vague.
なんでこいつらが
Give us the answer to this puzzle.
電話は青崎夢からじゃなかったっけ
ダメだ意識レベルがどんどん下がっているこのままだと宮代は死ぬぞ
Mm-mm.
そんな
もっと呼びかけ続けろ。もっとだ。今以上に。
I couldn't even tell who was saying that anymore, or saying what anymore. I was falling into the abyss of sleep.
聞きなさいタクルあなたがいるのは現実じゃないの現実のあなたはね大怪我をして病院のベッドの上にいるのよお願いだよタク思い出してこのままだと戻ってこれなくなっちゃうよタクルタクお願いだから戻ってきて
I could hear desperate cries from very close and from far away. But it was amazing how little it seemed to matter. So that's all we need to do to get out of this freaking hell is that we just need to remember what had happened on that night? I don't want to remember what happened on that night, but maybe that's the trick. The gentle light enveloped me, and I fell asleep. Usually I see- oh? Oh man, come on, I just said I didn't want to remember this. Where am I? Huh? I was supposed to be in Uki's room. Was this real? Or a dream? A dream? Whose dream? Mine? Kingdom Hearts? I screamed as someone suddenly came into view. Haha, thanks game. Tiny little boxes in the shape of a person. Dark red liquid flowing out of them. An overwhelming metallic stench. Inside the boxes was... Inside was...
どうだ自分の大切なものを失う気分は自分の無力さを思い知りながら後悔に苛まれる気分は
it's been a while since we've seen you, crazy Ito. That's right.
彼女は俺にとってかけがえのない存在だったそれをお前は見殺しにしたんだでもこれでようやく復讐も終わる糸お前次は宮代の番だよく切れるメスと麻酔薬は持ってきたか
I'd been so angry about Yui's death.
それがなきゃひどく痛くて苦しむぞゆいちゃんみたいにな人なんだ泣いて命乞いでもするか助けてくださいって土下座するかお前本当に
タクルさん
Oh no. I gasped when I heard the voice behind me.
よかった見つかった
Why are you smiling? And then Uki saw the boxes near my feet and froze. Shocked, she looked at them and then at me as if she was trying to say something, and then she saw Ito.
ゆいちゃんは
Yui is what?
邪魔するな今いいところなんだよ 可愛い妹の死で絶望の淵にいる宮代は絶望のままあの世へ送ってやるところなんだ。外野は黙って見てろ。
God damn, fucking Ito's sprite for this shit is just... God damn it. Ito turned toward me. Uki looked at the boxes again, and then she finally seemed to understand the meaning of Ito's words. And then... she took a half step back. And screamed. That was weird. And glared at him in fury.
なんだよ。
The D sword appeared in her little hand. Uki staggered forward, flailing the sword wildly. Ito had no idea how to handle this sudden attacker. Wait, he shouldn't be able to see the sword. I got between them, and then... Nice. An impact. Pain. Heat. I like staring at the color red for a long period of time. That's right, she stabbed me with her D sword. Okay, well that's deafening. I remembered. That was what happened.
あれが現実。それじゃ今僕がいるここは僕の妄想の中。
I could hear voices.
お願いだから目を覚まして。戻ってきて、タクル。
Nope, we're still here. I could hear Sarika and Kirisu on the phone. Huh? What's going on? Was that a dream? Was I... Oh, that's right, this was Uki's room. I fell asleep in Uki's room. I was on the phone. I called Aozaki Yume. And then they called me. And that's right, Sarika's voice was calling me. Okay, well that was interesting. Suddenly something flew by me and knocked the phone out of my hands. It fell on the floor, and its body split open by something sharp. My mind was still hazy as I forced myself to look up at the person holding the shining blade above me. Standing next to the bed, her face filled with desperation, was...
Uki.
ダメです。それ以上は気づいちゃいけないです。この世界こそがあなたのタクルさんの現実なんです。
Why is it our reality? Her voice was as sad and desperate as the expression on her face.
どういうことだ?
Uki closed her eyes just for a moment.
優しい家族、温かい友達、楽しいこと、嬉しいこと、幸せなことだけがずっと繰り返しどこまでも続いている。
Oh my god. I understand what's going on now. I understand completely perfectly what's going on here. She, like, the shock of losing Yui, tearing the family apart, ruining the family, really. Like, everything just went downhill with Yui's death. She didn't want that to happen. She didn't want any more of this craziness. She wanted this family. She wanted things to be as peaceful as they were here in this fake reality. And now she's making us stay here.
これが現実の渋谷。これが タクルさんにとっての現実、それでいいじゃないですか。
違う。
I struggled to get up, but my body wouldn't move.
何が違うんですか？
それは
What was wrong with it? If the dream I'd had was right, I wouldn't like what was waiting for me when I woke up. Compared to that, this was paradise. Just like Uki said, here there'd be nothing but fun things, pleasant things, and happy things in my life. But would that really mean I was alive?
やっぱり
I finally managed to get the strength in my arms and stomach to sit up.
やっぱりここ現実なんかじゃない。
I was trying to tell myself that, no matter how much I didn't want to admit it, no matter how much I didn't want to accept it, no matter how much I wanted to ignore it. If that was the truth, even if I'd almost died after being stabbed by Uki's D-sword, as long as I was alive...
やめて。お願いですからやめてください。もうそれ以上、辛い思いを味わわなくてもいいじゃないですか。
No, we have to suffer. That's the name of the game.
どうしてなんですか？あなたさえ望めば、ここはどんな幸せな世界にもなるんです。それなのに、どうして、そんな風にせっかくの幸せを壊そうとするんですか？
Nothing like getting a very interesting message from my desktop that somehow made it on top of the game saying that I've been disconnected from the network. So that's interesting. I don't know, I've been recording for an hour and a half. I really don't know how much more there is to this. I'm gonna be completely honest.
そんなこと
I don't know
言ったって
why I'm constant, like,
夢は
why am I
夢でし
sticking
か
with
ない。
this? Why am I still
い
going?
ずれは覚めなきゃいけない。
覚めない方がいい夢だってあります。
Uki looked like she was about to cry.
私はあなたに命に関わるような大きな怪我を負わせてしまいました。もしかしたら二度と今までのような生活はできないかもしれない。たとえ今現実に戻ったとしても、その先あなたを待っているのは辛くて苦しくて嫌なことだらけの人生ですよ。
That is absolutely true. Like 100%, that is what it's waiting for us, to be honest.
そんなの生きてるって言えるんですか？生きてる意味があるんですか？
The words she said grew in mass and density, creating ripples in my heart. They weighed down heavily upon me, and my mind creaked under the strain. At the same time, the heat and pain from when Uki had stabbed me came rushing back. That's always good. The feeling of coughing up blood. The feeling of my life flowing out of me. Despair shrouding my heart.
そんなの無理ですよ。私には耐えられないです。だから。
Uh-oh.
だから私はこうして新しい世界を作ったんです。タクルさんの望む幸せな世界を作ったんです。
I knew she was faking everything
こ
there.
のままこの世界にいた
The
方が
way she ran away
タク
earlier, I
ル
mean,
さんは
come
絶
on.
対に幸せでいられるんです。私だってその方が。
Slowly, like a slow-acting poison, all of my negative emotions came welling forth to hold me back. It was fine to put on a brave face and say that I had to wake up from my dream. But if Uki was right, even if I did go back to the old world, my body would be half dead already. And Yui, my little sister, she had been killed by the man I thought was my best friend, and now she was gone. Okay, but now we know the truth, so like, what's the point of staying here any longer? Like, we have to go back. We can't just sit here forever. Was there anything left for me in the real world? There was nothing but cruelty and coldness. But we're gonna die if we don't go back. But in this world, I wasn't hurt at all. Yui was here too. Ito wasn't fucking crazy. There was even a girl who loved me. Was there really any reason I had to go back?
聖
Uki's voice was shaking. Tears were running down her pale white cheeks.
私のせいなんです。何もかも私のせい。
ウキ。
私は
Uki started to speak, her head downcast. She told me about herself.
私はまだ小さかった頃、お父さんやお母さんに連れられて不思議な場所に通っていました。そこではたくさんの人たちがお祈りをしたり瞑想をしたりしていました。
I imagined it was some kind of religious facility. Evidently, her parents had been involved in some kind of cult. Well, that's
お
good.
父さんとお母さん
That's
は
always fantastic.
とても厳しい人で、私がどうしてそこに行かなければいけないのか教えてはくれませんでしたし、私もそれをおかしなことだって思ったりはしませんでした。ある日、私はあの地下へと連れて行かれました。そしてその後すぐに大きな地震があって、お父さんとお母さんは死んだって言われました。
But they might not
両
have.
親の他
They
に
might
は
not have.
親戚は誰もいなくて、行くところのなくなってしまった私はあの地下の部屋で皆さんの面倒を見るようになりました。それも私にとっては当然の成り行きで、どうしてこんなことをしなければいけないのかなんて疑問に思うことはありませんでした。
I remembered when I took her out of the basement. She'd been there since she was very little, and it had been everything she had.
いろいろとお世話をしていると、皆さんはありがとうって言ってくれました。その言葉を聞くととても嬉しくて、すごく優しい気持ちになれました。はあ、この人たちは私を必要と思ってくれてるんだ。私のことを頼ってくれてるんだ。そう思うととても温かい気持ちになれました。
For young Uki, being needed was the only way she felt the only way she felt she had any value in the world, excuse me. I could see that from how hard she worked at Alba Dorm. That desire to be needed was the only thing that kept her going.
私は私の周りにいる人が幸せになってくれることが嬉しいんです。私が幸せになることよりも誰かが幸せになる、その方が私にとってはとても嬉しいことなんです。誰かに幸せになってほしい、誰かを幸せにしたい、ありがとうって笑ってもらいたい。私はきっとそのために生まれたんです。それなのに。
Her round eyes filled with tears again.
なのに私はタクルさんにあんなことを。
I mean, that was kind of our fault, to be honest.
私のせいでタクルさんは私はタクルさんを不幸にしてしまったんです。私にはもう現実の世界でタクルさんを幸せにすることはできません。でもこの世界なら私はタクルさんのことを幸せにすることができます。タクルさんに笑ってもらったり、ありがとうって言ってもらえることができるんです。だからお願いします。どうかこの世界でタクルさんが幸せになるお手伝いをさせてください。
僕を幸せに。ウキが。
Why, I wonder. The meaning of Uki's words slowly sank in. Here I could be happy. Here I could smile.
タクルさん。
So maybe it would be okay to stay here. As soon as I started to think so, I began to feel incredibly tired again. Everything started to get hazy. I'm sure this is for the best. Nobody wants to suffer. And there's no difference between reality and delusion anyway. It's all just what your brain is showing you. So it's better to be happy.
タクルさん。
if I just let myself sleep,
私が守りますから。あなたの幸せをずっと守っていきますから。
when I wake up, I'll be happy. I don't like this decision. Everything started to fade away. A tiny hand rubbed my back. It was Uki's hand, gentle and warm. It would keep me safe. So that,
そう
the,
か。
T. Maybe she was right. If Uki would make me happy, that was fine with me. I slowly sank into the abyss of unconsciousness.
いけません!
Another Uki? What the fuck? Suddenly I heard a voice that pulled me back from the abyss. A roar filled the air and a single ray of light flashed. And it felt like the void itself was being sliced apart. I struggled to open my eyes and then forced my vision into focus, I saw two people there. One was Uki, who was on top of me, and then the other. Oh shit.
ウキが2人。
Now this is creepy. The other Uki was holding a huge elegant blade, far too big for her little body, and using it to tear open a hole in space. Okay, what the hell is happening, dude? My mind can't comprehend this. It's too late at night to figure this out. The Uki from the other side of the void swung her sword in a flash. The Uki on top of me leapt back and just barely dodged.
あなた
Can't there just be like one discerning feature or just something, please? My mind was having trouble comprehending the fact that I was seeing two Ukis.
何なんだよこれ。
What was happening? What was going on? Was this part of the dream? Or was it real? I was too tired to try and understand. Yeah. Why were there two Ukis? The other Uki lifted her blade and readied it. Uki raised her hand out of the emptiness and plunged into a crack between dimensions. The quanta formed in the dead spot in my brain. And with a dazzling light, the long flowing blade, the D-sword, appeared in her hand. Ah, this is fun. The only discerning feature that I'm actually seeing is like... Well, actually, it's really hard to tell, but it looks like her hair is brighter on the left. Everything actually just seems a little darker on the right, but that might just be like the lighting, if there is any here. The two of them stared at each other for a moment. They both moved at almost the same exact time. This is ridiculous. A blade was brought down in a flash, like a hawk descending on its prey. That is a big-ass sword. The other Uki raised her own weapon to block it. And then the other Uki launched her counterattack. The sword scorched the air as it danced faster than the wind. But her powerful strike was deflected by a strange movement where she held the blade diagonally. Wind, sound, impact. The two switched rapidly between attacker and defender. The two switched rapidly between one place and another. The two switched rapidly in my mind. I couldn't tell which was which anymore. One of the Uki seemed to be losing slightly. She yelled in a loud voice that didn't sound like Uki at all.
騙されるどういうことだよそれ。
彼女が今目の前にいるこの私がさっき話したことは全部嘘なんです。だから騙されないでください。余計なこと言わないで。
I'm confused. A lie? What she just said, that I could live happily in my dreams, that was all a lie?
しもこのまま彼女の言いなりになったとしても、あなたに幸せはありません。
僕に幸せはない。
そうです。このままではあなたは妄想の中に溶けてゆくだけ。そのまま二度と戻ってこれなくなってしまうだけです。それ以上は。
Now the thing here is that another Uki is totally right. Pale fireworks flashed violently in front of me, and rainbow streaks of light burned into my eyes. I tried as hard as I could to think about what the other Uki, the one had just appeared, was telling me.
タクルさん、この子の言ってることは嘘です。夢の中ならあなたは幸せになれるんです。違います。そんなの大嘘です。
Which was the real her? That's what I want to know. I would say it's the other Uki. Who should I believe?
タクルさん、もう一度よく思い出してください。あの時何が起きたのかを。
Then?
あの日何が起きたのかをもう一度。それ以上は。
What happened that day? It was... That day. What happened?
よく自分の心に問いかけてみてください。考えて結論にたどり着いてください。この妄想が本当は誰のものなのかを。
I could sense a door that was half open in the back of my mind. The vision of the past I'd seen started to slowly open that door once more.
ダメです。やめてください。思い出してはダメ。いやー。思い出して本当の出来事を。そしてこの妄想が本当は誰のものかを。
Well, I really don't know who this delusion belongs to be honest. I was thinking it was probably just Uki's. What really happened? But she can't reboot it herself. It's always somebody else using her power. On that day, tiny little boxes in the shape of a person, dark red liquid flowing out of them, an overwhelming metallic stench. Inside the boxes was...
Ah! どうだ! 自分の大切なものを失う気分は! 自分の無力さを思い知りながら後悔に苛まれる気分は!
I remembered this part. That's what had happened that day.
彼女は俺にとってかけがえのない存在だった。それをお前は見殺しにしたんだ。でもこれでようやく復讐も終わる。
Psycho Ito is truly a sight to behold.
伊藤、お前。
次は宮代の番だ。よく切れるメスと麻酔薬は持ってきたか?
I'd been so angry about Yui's death.
それがなきゃひどく痛くて苦しむぞ。ゆいちゃんみたいにな。
伊藤。
なんだ、泣いて命乞いでもするか？助けてくださいって土下座するか？
お前、本当に。
タクルさん。
Then Uki came.
よかった、見つかった。ゆいちゃんは。
And when she saw what happened to Yui... This is like our third time going through this shit, and then... She screamed.
なんだよ。
She real booted the D sword. Actually, this is a little different than what we had just seen, right?
なんだ?
Yeah, this is a little different than what we saw in the dream, so this is the real memory.
なんだよ、こいつ!
I remember the D sword flailing wildly, Ito running and screaming.
待て、ウキ、伊藤にはまだ。
I got between them, and then... I reached out my hand.
やめろウキ。
And in my hand was my D sword. Okay, I don't remember this part.
あの時僕は本能に突き動かされるまま視界の隅に現れたディソードに手を伸ばしてそしてその手を
So that's how we got stabbed.
僕を
Wait, actually, wait a minute, hold on, something's not right here, hold on.
刺されたのは僕じゃない。
タクルさん。
Uh-oh.
僕がウキを
The horrible sensation of ripping through blood vessels and muscle fiber. Her body crumpling forward. The sound of her coughing up blood. The thud when she bounced off the pavement. Uki's body turning red. It all came back to me. Wait, who else was screaming? As the truth of the past came back to me, the Uki from this reality screamed and collapsed on the cold floor. She started to spasm and vomit up blood. Remember when the lights were on in here? Her limbs flailed out in impossible directions and froze. It was a slow death, but a certain one. My mouth went wide in shock as I tried to understand what was happening to her. It's death, I think. She reached out her hand into the air, fingers curled as if she wanted to grab something. And then her arm fell, and she stopped moving at all.
Uki.
I remembered. I remembered even if I wish I hadn't. What I'd just seen was the hidden truth. And because I'd remembered it, the Uki from this reality had died. All the exhaustion and desire for sleep that had been eating away at my body were gone, because they were forced onto us. I suddenly felt something strange and looked down at my hands. In my right hand was a long, sharp blade. The shining blade was covered in sticky blood.
僕はまた
思い出してくれたんですね。
The other Uki whispered softly. Her eyes were filled with sorrow as she stared at her own twisted body lying on the floor.
ここはタクルさんが作った世界なんかじゃなかったんです。ここは山添ウキが作り出した世界。私の中の妄想の世界。
It was Uki's.
それじゃあウキは本物のウキは今
現実の私はタクルさんの隣のベッドで眠っています。
僕の隣で。
はい。そしてここは消えかかる命の中で旅立つ間際に見る夢の世界。
ウキの夢の世界。
そう。私の夢の世界を無意識にリアルブートしてしまいました。その夢にタクルさんを巻き込んだまま。
So this world was Uki's dream.
この子は
Uki's voice sounded a little sadder.
この子は私がずっと欲しいと思っていた 憧れを手にした私でした。
Uki knelt down and silently closed her other self's eyes. And then she slowly stood up and walked over to the desk and opened the drawer. She took out a tiny envelope. It was a pink envelope like a little girl would choose.
覚えていますか？
それは
Oh, here we go. It wasn't something from so long ago that I would forget it, and it had left an incredible impression on me. So I remembered it very well. It was the envelope that Aozaki Yume had used to send her love letter.
嘘をついてごめんなさい。
Uki looked a little embarrassed.
あの手紙を書いたのも、そしてあなたの理想の女の子の姿であのお店で待っていたのもこの子。いえ、私だったんです。
Now I'm getting really confused. Which is it? Uki was Okay, I knew this. Like, come on. But why?
憧れていたんですね、きっと。自分でも気づいていなかったけど。だからせめて夢の中でもって。
It was a world that any girl might see once, in her dreams. But for Uki, maybe that was what she'd always wanted. For a girl who'd grown up in that dark basement, who'd never gotten a chance to go to school.
そうか。
Aozaki Yume. Something clicked in my mind. Oh my god, wow, you're real quick. Rearrange the letters and... wow. Now, usually I'm the slow one with that, but that is actually one of the things that I look for when it comes to a puzzle like that.
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。
Her eyes were still downcast as she spoke.
私は夢の中でほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
I felt like I knew what Uki was trying to say.
でもこれでもう夢は終わりです。
ウキ。
もうすぐ現実の私は死んでしまうでしょう。
But that's...
でもその前にタクルさんはタクルさんのいるべき世界に戻ってください。あの人が、久野里さんが言っていました。私が死ねばこの妄想の渋谷はディラックの海に飲み込まれてしまうって。だからタクルさんはその前に早く。
ウキは君はどうするつもりなんだ？
もう時間はありません。
答えになってない。お前はどうするんだよ。
私は。
She tried to continue, but before she could get out the words, the strength left her body and she was forced to the ground.
何？
I quickly ran over to her and grabbed her by the arm and tried to help her up.
何やってんだよ。
タクルさん。
お前も一緒だろ。一緒に戻るんだよ。
No matter how hard the real world was, no matter how far away happiness seemed,
タクルさん。
ほら立てよ。立って一緒に来いよ。
I would take her with me.
ありがとう、タクルさん。
And then Uki smiled a little, but only a little.
ダメです。
She quietly brushed my hand away.
私はもうここに来るだけでもう限界だったんです。
何を言って。
She pointed to the D sword in my hand with a shaking finger.
久野里さんが言っていました。ディソードは妄想と現実とをつなぐ橋のようなものなんだって。
そんなことは。
だからそれをしっかりと伝っていけばきっと現実に戻れます。
お前がいれば現実に戻れるんだろ。だったらお前も一緒に。
Uki was sitting on the floor reaching out a shaking hand. She was reaching for a broken pot. It had shattered during the fight, and I still can't pronounce that, was lying on the floor looking sad. Somehow it seemed as if there was... somehow it seemed like it was just like Uki herself. Sorry, I love changing words around.
この子、ありがとうございました。
そんなの。
It was nothing at all. But before I could say another word, Uki
嬉しかった。
collapsed to the floor. Okay, we need to hurry the fuck up. And then the world started to fall apart. The ground and sky started to roar and shake. And everything was pulled back into a pre-quantum state of possibility. Everything dissolved into ones and zeros and fell apart. The end of the world was inescapable, and it was almost upon me. Excuse me. I desperately tried to grab her tiny body, but her outline started to blur. The matter that made up her body was dissolving like sand being blown away by the wind. And it was turning back into ones and zeros, and disappearing as if it had never been here. I stabbed the D-sword into the floor and clung to it to help myself stay standing. And soon the destruction came for me as well. It felt like my body was being ripped apart. A wave of annihilation enveloped me. And all my senses blacked out. Everywhere I looked, there was nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The void. Or perhaps, was this the direct sea where all things would someday return? I was wandering in endless void. Particles of light were flowing upward around me, or all around me. Even in this form, I could tell exactly what they were. This was Uki. No, that wasn't quite right. It was the memories that made her up. The memories poured into my brain like a rushing torrent. A young Uki. Her parents had brought her to a strange building and she was sitting there confused, as the adults around her bowed their heads low to the floor. A gloomy room filled with cement and metal. Dozens of horrible devices. Experiments. But even then, she was smiling when she was with her friends, young Yui and others too. Then the earthquake and the destruction. A sealed room. Screaming adults. Fear of reality and longing. Two colliding desires. We want you to stay pure, innocent, and untainted, and take care of us forever. She subconsciously real-booted that desire. And that's what had happened to her body. Still, she accepted everything, even her own fate. God damn, dude. This shit be wildin'. The world turned pure white. And began to be rebuilt again. I clutched the D-sword tightly with my fingers. Just like Uki had told me.
Takuru ってば、Takuru! のんちゃん、今、声が。
These voices.
Takuru!
They were calling out for me over and over. Hell yeah, they are. The world began to regain its color. I don't want Sakuma here.
Takuru, わかる？私が誰だかわかる？
わかるに決まってるだろう。
Man, I thought we were in a real hospital.
私は
誰だっけ？
Wait, what?
冗談だよ、尾上。痛
こら、意識が戻ったからって飛びつくやつがあるか。絶対安静だぞ。
Good old Takuru getting into these fucking comas. Dad ran through the curtain separating the beds and pulled Serica off of me, and then peered down at my face.
意識もはっきりとしているな。
You evil, evil man. As he started to give me an exam, I looked down at my hand. It was still in the shape it had been when I was holding the D-sword.
でもよかった。目覚めてくれて。ほんとだよ。どれだけ心配したか。
こいつら、ずっとお前があっち行っちまわないよ。声をかけ続けてくれてたんだぞ。
ありがとう。二人の声聞こえてた。
We also heard Kunisato's at one point.
いいって。私たちとタクの仲じゃん。そうよ。それに、これ以上家族がいなくなっちゃうなんて。
Uh-oh. Kirisu's voice suddenly cut off. Yep, we're back in reality. Anymore. Was she talking about Yui? And one more person.
ウキ。
I sat up and asked. She'd said that she was sleeping next to me.
タクル、よく聞いて。ウキちゃんは。
A cold sweat appeared on my body when I heard those words. It couldn't be. Maybe she was already... I slowly looked around. And there she was.
ウキ。
I could see her resting quietly on the other side of the curtain that separated our beds. Her eyes were shut and there were tubes attached all over her body. I could hear a monitoring device near her, beeping at regular intervals. Shouldn't she be at a real hospital, maybe? She was alive. But then why had Kirisu and Serica acted that way? What did that...
冷静に聞いて、タクル。のんちゃん、何も今言わなくても。
いや、いいんだ、尾上。
I kept my eyes on Uki as I spoke.
クルス、教えてくれ。ウキは。
I had been ready for it. But when I saw it for real, I still didn't want to believe. But I had to face it anyway. And this wasn't the dream world anymore, and she was the one who told me to come back.
ウキちゃんね。一命は取り留めはしたけれど、脳に受けたダメージが大きいって、久野里さんが。
はっきり言ってくれ、クルス。ウキは治るのか。
残念だけど、このまま。
She slowly shook her head. Instantly, my heart felt like it was going to freeze. I'm sorry, but I tried to understand the meaning of those words. Uki would never wake up again. She would never talk again. She would never smile again. Never. I forced my aching body out of bed.
大丈夫。
Oh yeah, we're totally fine. Serica and Kirisu rushed to support me, but I waved them away. Like a sleepwalker, I staggered over to Uki's unconscious body. Yes. Her breathing was irregular but steady. The machine was beeping. I couldn't see a single scratch on her face. She looked as if she could open her big round eyes and laugh any second. But... Suddenly I was assaulted by a wave of emotion. Yeah, methinks she isn't going to wake up. I softly touched her cheek. Her silent body was so warm and I... All I did was cry. For a girl who'd said that other people's happiness was what made her happy. For a girl who'd risked her life to save me.
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。私は夢の中でほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
For the girl who'd smiled as she said those words. Was there anything I could have done for her? Could I have given her happiness?
この子、ありがとうございました。
I...
嬉しかった。
Uh-oh. And the days passed. Many springs and many summers. And many autumns came. Are we like a grown-ass man now?
いってらっしゃい。気をつけてね。
今日もいい天気だな。行こうか、ウキ。
Huh?
あっちは人が多いから、こっちを回ろう。
Oh no, dude. I got a bad feeling about this one. I don't like how she's not responding.
わかった。それじゃあ向こうから行こう。
Shortly after, Uki's body had recovered to the point where we could take her off life support. But it was only her body that recovered. She didn't talk or laugh. She just stared into space like a doll. Her mind had gone someplace far away and still hadn't come back. Kunasato said it probably never would. And she was probably right. My one wish was that wherever she was, she'd found the world she'd always wanted. All I could do was pray and spend each day with her. It was the only way I could atone.
あ、タク。
I turned around just in time to see Serika run up to us.
よう。
今日もお散歩？
まあな。
そっか、いい天気だもんね。
Yeah, not here. Serika smiled at Uki and then looked up at the bright sky.
悪いな。最近あんまり一緒にいられなくて。
私のことは気にしなくていいよ。私はタクがそれでよければいいんだし。
Serika looked at me.
タクはいいんでしょ？それで。
Of course, the best thing would be for Uki to get better, but that was too much to hope for now. So I would do what I could for her.
まあ。
I think this is Serika's way of making sure that Takuru is down the line of happiness that he could go for. This was the path I'd chosen.
だったらよし。
Mm-hmm. Serika smiled, satisfied at my answer, excuse me.
じゃあ、私は行くね。ウキちゃんも、またね。チャオス。
I see she's adopted Arimura's term. She said a word she'd probably picked up from someone else and left. I watched her go, and then we started to walk again. We took each step slowly and carefully.
そうそう。それでさ、ユウトが。
Still nothing.
そしたら父さんがさ。
Nothing. No matter what I said, there was never an answer. But I kept talking, and waiting for the day when she would someday come back. God damn, dude. Wait a minute, how is she looking over? I stopped in front of a small store. I'd spotted a planter, and I'd seen a certain plant lined up in front of the others at the florist. I still can't pronounce that. It was the plant I'd given to Uki as a present for her room.
嬉しかった。
I thought I heard her voice and quickly turned to look at her, but I just imagined it.
そうだよな。そんなこと。
Man. And then?
ウキ。
Eyes like glass beads quivered for a moment. And a single tear ran down her cheek.
ウキ
She didn't speak. Her expression didn't change. But still, she was there. And someday,
ああウキ
the world was constantly growing, expanding, and evolving. Even if it left the two of us behind, I'd spend my days with her, and believe that someday she would come back to us. Until then,
僕が君の世話をして生きていくよ。いつかやってくる。君の幸せのために。
I didn't know if that day would ever come, but until then I would keep believing. Always. Is that the end? That is the end. Fuck the credits.
ねえ、タク、叶えられた？やりたいこと。
I mean, I always wonder. I really do always wonder. Dream Sky End. Alright. And we got the butterfly achievement. That's always a plus. Okay, so I'm not gonna take so long talking. Not this time. I cannot afford to. Like, I gotta be up. I mean, I've got, like, quite a bit of time. I'll probably only get, like, 6 hours of sleep. My first day of online school is coming up. Or at least for this semester. I was with online university, Zoom university, if you will. I think, like, maybe the second half and a little bit of change left over the previous semester, but this time from the straight beginning. I cannot wait. Actually, that's a lie. I'm not looking forward to it. It's gonna suck. But the point is that I gotta get to sleep soon, and I've been recording for 2 hours and 17 minutes according to my OBS and Audacity information. My mind is not really here, but at the same time it kinda is. That was kind of a crazy ride there. I was really wanting to see the end of things, and that's why I just kept going. This will obviously be split into 2 separate episodes. I'm not gonna upload this fucking chunk all in one go. So I think for the first time with the Chaos Child playthrough, this is a multi-episode session, so yeehaw on that one. But man, what a ride. What a ride. Like, as usual, Chaos Child doing a successful job and leading you down the wrong path, thinking things ended up in a different way. That was just insane. Just, as always, they did a great job of just making you believe something completely else. Just stellar, like, storytelling in general, really. I'm kind of tripping over my words here. I'm still kind of confused about a few things, but hopefully going down that other route will hopefully clear some things out. The other end, I guess you could say. We'll get that, and then I guess we'll explore the bad endings. Hopefully we can get, like, more information about, like, I guess her and those experiments and everything. Hopefully there's, like, a way that she can be saved or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the other ending can hold, but apparently it's another, like, big important ending that we need to get from these routes, so I'm definitely looking forward to that and whatever that entails. But all in all, that was a bunch of fun. Definitely a more serious story than what we got out of Kazuki's route, which, again, you know, it's totally fine. I don't want to really compare everything, but Kazuki's route, not the most serious, and Arimura's route, totally misleading. I mean, I thought that shit was a freaking rom-com for a while. But yeah, this was a good one, and I really appreciated it for what it was, and I can't wait to see what the other ending involves. However, I really need to stop recording. I need to go to bed. I am really tired. I don't know if that last episode of the common route that I recorded was this long. It might have been. I don't know how I stuck with that one for this long. This shit was hard. I just kept going. I didn't know if there was an ending in sight, but I just kept going. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed what this story, resulted up in being and how it all wrapped up. I mean, I'm sad that Uki doesn't really get to live that much of a life, but it is cool to see that Takuru is trying. In a way, you can definitely call that a good ending. It's not a bad ending. I mean, we still lost Yui, but if anything, we're just in reality. That's just how reality be, I guess. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed these last 2 episodes. And if you did, maybe leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. There's not too much more to go with all this when you think about it. We have the other ending with Uki. We'll get her 4 or 5 bad endings, and then we'll get Kirisu's ending. I think she only has 1 ending, so we'll just get that. And from the looks of things, I think how this will end up being is like top right we'll have another Uki, bottom left we'll have Kirisu, and then in the middle, whatever the final ending of this shit is. That's what it sort of seems like here. Not too much more left to go, but I hope you guys are willing to stick it out to the end with me. Thank you all again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, which will be a 1-episode session, I swear. Thank you again, and I will see you guys in that next episode. Take it easy.